Hello, and welcome to this online workshop on test-taking strategies brought to you by the Rutgers Camden Division of Student Academic Success, and there is our website there should you want to visit it. Here's a quote from Ben Franklin: "By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail." So you want to make sure that you are using time management and study skills as much as possible to prepare for the test as well as you can, so that you can get through the test with as little obstruction as possible. Some of the ways you can help yourself prepare are visiting our other online workshops, such as being a successful student online, active retrieval for study skills, time management to prioritize, and also writing a paper. So here's a general timeline you want to consider for each test: what you should do each week, what you should do to prepare ahead, what to do right before the test, what to do during the test, and also what to do after the test. So here's a pop question. Which is heaviest? A ton of feathers, a pound of gold, or a pound of silver? Think about it. A ton of feathers is the heaviest. A ton is 2,000 pounds. It may be a lot of feathers, but it is still the heaviest. The takeaway from that is always pay attention to the question that is asked. So now let's take a look at some research from Losciavo and Schatz from 2002 on multiple choice test strategies. Multiple choice tests are a student's preferred way of testing. Number 1, anticipate the answer. Always pay attention to the question before you look at the answers. Some people even will cover up the answers with their hands or with an extra piece of paper so they are not tempted or swayed by any answers. Try and anticipate the answer, and if you see your answer, honor that and select it. But make sure, number 2, that you read all of the choices and note the differences among the answers. There will be slight nuances among those answers that render them different from one another. So make sure you read all the choices. Number 3, eliminate any wrong answers. This will help you zero in on what the correct answer is, and it will also help you visually select your best answer. Number 4, skip the difficult questions. As soon as you read a question, if you don't know the answer, immediately skip it. Remember, a hard question is simply one you don't know the answer to. You don't want to eat up the test clock on a tough question. Pass it and return to it later. Number 5, actively write on the exam if you can. If it's a paper test, underline key terms, draw any figures, put in any formulas possibly, and also mark questions to come back to them. And number 6, you may have heard, oh, don't second guess yourself, or second guessing is all right. Well, you should change your answer only if you have good reason. Research shows that students make more wrong to right than actual right to wrong switches. But make sure you're identifying the reason for the switch before you actually make the switch. Here's another pop question. If you're running a race and passed the person in second place, what place are you in? Well, if you passed the person in second place, you're now taken over and are in second place. Take a look at short answer and essay tests. This is from Skinner in 2009, who says that research suggests that despite their dislike of essay exams, students do not perform worse on essay exams as compared to multiple choice exams. And here are some ways you can succeed on them. Number 1, read the question carefully. What is it actually asking? And are there multiple elements or components to the question? Number 2, do not start writing immediately. Plan effectively. You want to spend roughly about 1/5 of the time that you have outlining what you're going to be talking about. And also, how are you going to transition between paragraphs? For example, you may be talking about a topic that is broken down into a political aspect, a financial aspect, and a social aspect. So you could start each paragraph with, on a political note, or in terms of finances, to make sure you're transitioning between paragraphs. Begin always, number 3, with a strong opening. Grab the reader's attention and write with conviction. Mean what you say. Number 4, end with reinforcing your main point. You want to tie up the essay tightly by revisiting the points you made through the essay and finish strongly. Number 5, when you are done writing, make sure you go back to the initial question. If there are multiple parts in that question, check off or slash the parts that you answered. And if you have to write in some parts that you missed, do so. You may have to put in a couple of arrows into the margins if you're writing it on paper, but obviously if you're typing it online, that's much easier. You can just move the cursor to where you need to and enter the information. Always, number 6, proofread what you have written. Use any remaining time on the clock to check what you wrote. Pop question. Before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the tallest mountain in the world? Well, regardless of whether it was discovered, Mount Everest was still the tallest mountain in the world. Here are some strategies for take-home and online tests. It is very important, number 1, to know what to expect up front. What are the technology requirements? Is there a certain platform you have to be on? Is there a certain program you have to download to take the test? So make sure that you ask your professor what the actual setup is. You also want to know if you enter an answer, are you able to change them or are they locked in? And finally, is the test timed? Now that means 2 different things. Number 1, do you have to take it at a certain time in the day where the test is open on the platform? Or once you open the test at whatever time, is there a time limit on the test when you actually take it? Number 2, try and get as many practice test opportunities as possible. And this actually goes along with online tests, take-home tests, or any in-person tests. See if your professor has any practice tests or resources that are available. Number 3, maintain academic integrity, which you would do regardless on any test, but make sure it is clear what materials you can use and what you cannot use. And number 4, can I review my results? Because learning from prior mistakes will help you for future exams. If you can review the results, please do so. If you cannot review your results, talk to your professor about seeing if they will go over your test with you. Here are some general notes for all tests. Number 1, make sure you read all the directions on a test. Is there something hidden there, such as how to format the answers? You want to make sure that you're giving the professors what they want. Number 2, check the landscape of the entire test upon beginning if you can. What are the sections? Do you need to allot more time for one or another? You don't want to get all the way through a test and be working on one section and then with only 5 minutes left you have another essay to write. Make sure you check the landscape at the beginning. Number 3, make sure if you have a Scantron that the bubbles are neatly filled. For example, on a math test, that the numbers are clearly written, or on an essay test or any short answer, that your words are legible. If the scanner or the professor cannot read or decipher it, you will not get